Hi guys, this is Abby and you're listening to Tape Talk, a podcast to remind you that you look better sticky. Being sticky can mean a lot of things, whether you're trying to stick to a new habit, trying to get into a new routine, or maybe you're just feeling physically stuck in life and you don't know what the next step is. I started Tape Talk to open up the conversation around what it's like to start something new, what it's like to take creative risks, and how to find success in a career you can be passionate about. And since I'm definitely not the expert at any of this, I've invited several unique and inspiring individuals to come share their own stories on how they have been able to overcome some really sticky situations. So it's time. It's time to get sticky. I can promise you that. Thanks for listening, you guys. Welcome to Tape Talk. Audrey, how do you say your last name actually?
Thalman.
Thalman?
Yeah.
Okay, because I've been saying it wrong.
It's okay.
For
Most people do. It's fine.
Everyone's like, so who are you recording with this month? I'm like, Audrey Thalman.
It's Thalman, like tall
Thalman.
Man, but like Thalman.
Thalman.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Thanks.
I love that. Okay.
Thanks. I didn't pick it, but I like it.
Yeah, you're like, I had no choice in the
I had
matter.
no say in the matter, but I'm
Not
not
a
mad
thing.
about it.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you because
I mean, you've heard a little bit of it already.
I know we've been talking for like literally like an hour now.
Just warming up. It's fine.
Yeah, we had to warm up. We had to figure out what we can and can't say on this pod.
That too. I maybe should ask you for some rules beforehand too.
Well, you can. So swearing is okay.
Okay.
Anything's really okay.
All right.
Actually, it's
All
all
right.
about you. If you don't want to say something, I can take it out. Whatever works.
Noted. All right.
Okay. All right. So you got this question sheet and everything.
Yeah, I did.
Did you look it over?
I did look it over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So nothing's gonna be a surprise then.
No.
What I'm asking you.
Okay. No. We should be good.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna start with how I know you. So I met Audrey I met her through one of my close friends, Annie Davis, and I went to go get a tattoo from Audrey because she does tattoos and they are badass. They are so good. She is so talented. She did like the fish on my arm and she did the number 15 on my arm and I just love them so much.
Thanks.
And you're
Thanks
the
for
best.
taking care of them. They look like they healed really well. I also love that you used badass and like the two tattoos I did on you are like so cute and tiny.
I know, and I'm like, they're badass.
So badass.
They really are. But yeah, so I just want to do on the pod today, talk about how you got into tattooing and like just along the lines of like what got you into that and why you continue to still do it and what you love about it.
Cool. Yeah. So I have been tattooing for like 3 years now.
Okay.
I've always been like really interested in tattoos, but I didn't actually get any until I was like 21 maybe.
Okay.
So I also grew up like super Mormon.
Right.
Always loved tattoos growing up. I was like, I would never do that though.
Yeah. Couldn't be
Clearly
me.
not true. Clearly not true at all.
Yeah.
But
We all told ourselves the same thing growing up. We were like, that is so
every good Mormon girl would never get tattoos, and then we do.
And then everyone does. Yeah. It's the way it goes.
But yeah, I didn't really know anything about how you like become a tattoo artist until literally like I got my first tattoo. Because I'd always kind of equated it to being like a rock star, like a professional musician or something. Like, yeah, that's some people's jobs, but like real people don't have those jobs.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I never thought of it as like a serious career option.
It was just like that'd be cool.
Yeah, like that'd be cool. Like, yeah, it would be cool to be like a movie star or like it'd be cool to be a rock star, but like who actually does that?
Yeah.
So I got my first tattoo when I was 21 and
what was it?
Pretty bad.
Oh no.
It was a little bumblebee. It's
cute.
Since covered. It used to be
okay.
here.
Okay.
But it was just like it was just not good. And I was like, man, if that girl could do tattoos, I could totally do tattoos.
I love the thought process.
I'm like watching her tattoo me and I'm like, so how does one become a tattoo artist?
How does one become a musician?
How does one become this career that I think is impossible to become.
Yeah.
So she kind of gives me like a basic rundown, and which is like hilarious because I also get this question from like most of my new clients, like don't have very many tattoos too.
So it all comes full circle.
Yeah. Full circle moment. And like, there are some people that I've tattooed now that like have become tattoo artists also.
Whoa.
I think like not necessarily because of me, but like, having somebody to tell them like, hey, like you need to find someone that will teach you how to tattoo. Like you don't just like go to school to learn how to tattoo. You have to
it's like a mentorship type of thing.
You do an apprenticeship. So usually they're like
apprenticeship. Yeah.
You're fine. Yeah. You're
close
on
enough.
you're on the right path. So to do like the like proper way of becoming a tattoo artist or whatever, you find an apprenticeship, and usually those are like 2-ish years. Sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're longer. But, so I got an apprenticed for 2 years. The first year of my apprenticeship, I didn't tattoo at all. I literally just like worked the front desk, did piercings, cleaned a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Drew a lot, which I'm also like really grateful that I did like a year of like working in the tattoo industry before I actually tattooed. And then for my second year of my apprenticeship, I tattooed like that whole time. And then after I graduated my apprenticeship, I moved from the shop that I was at, which was like a typical like street shop or whatever, where you take like walk-ins and like stuff like that.
Right.
And moved to the space that I'm in now that I tattooed you at, which is like the private studio.
It's so beautiful, by the way.
So cute. I love it.
It's gorgeous. I walked in that first time and I was like, I wanted 1 tattoo, but I may want 6.
I think also I really like working in a private studio now because I can like pick my own clients, and obviously I get to like decorate things how I want. So it's not really like the traditional tattoo shop vibe.
Right.
Like I like that there's like a lot of natural light, and it's really light and like comfortable, and there's lots of plants, and like, I appreciate that vibe from like a tattoo experience perspective as opposed to kind of the more like traditional, like black heavy metal tattoo shop, which is also cool. Like I love that vibe, but not every day.
Like heavy metal shop, get a tattoo, listen to Led Zeppelin.
Listen to like Tool. Yeah.
Tool. Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask you like what, like, I guess when I walked into your tattoo shop, it felt like a place where it was like a creative place, like where you can go in and like you can feel inspired, not just by the art that people are asking you to do, but like by the space. Like it's a very like welcoming, open space that I do think rewrites this narrative around tattoos and like what that is. It's more of like a expressive thing rather than it is like you said, like the rock star or like the whatever, you know?
Yeah. One of the things that I have like kind of thought a lot about since I like first, I guess I got my first tattoo and like started tattooing too, is just like the whole experience of getting tattooed. Like, it's not just about like what it looks like. Like people will remember their experiences with you. Like for me, it's like, I tattooed you on like a random Tuesday last year. And like, I don't remember like what exactly happened other than like I tattooed you for like an hour and we like chatted and it was nice.
It was a good experience.
But like you probably remember it like way more specifically than I do.
Yeah. I mean, it was my first tattoo. Like, well, technically it was my second tattoo, but it was like my first like real, like I'm making this appointment because I know what I want. And I know, cause when my first tattoo, I went in and it was like a random day in October. And I just was like, I want to get this tattooed on me. So I went to a shop down the street and some random dude did it, which is fine. You know, no hate. I mean, I had like the heavy metal rock tattoo experience.
That's like, like that's kind of the experience that most people expect to have. I feel like until you kind of get more into like the tattoo scene. Yeah. Cause like a lot of people do only ever like just get walk-ins and like, that's totally fine. Like
absolutely.
That serves its purpose and exists for a reason.
Yep.
But like I feel like the setting that I work in now is kind of it's more intimate. Like it doesn't have to be, but it also, I don't know, just like makes space for like whatever the experience is meant to be. And It's cool. I appreciate it.
Very well put. Very well put. I love that.
Thanks.
That's amazing. So where did you grow up drawing, and like, was that kind of, have you always been artistically skilled?
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if I would say that I was like a great artist until I was like a little bit older.
Yeah.
Like I've always been into like creative things in general. Like I feel like art and music are like the two things that I've always really cared about. And like 100%. I've had other hobbies here and there, but like art and music are like
those two are the
standards. Yeah. For
sure. Definitely.
So I'm not from Utah. I moved here for college. When I first moved out here, I was studying music at Utah Valley. So I was doing that for a couple years. Yeah.
No way. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I was studying music at Utah Valley. I loved the program that I was in, but ultimately it was like, why am I getting a bachelor's degree for music?
What am I going to do with this?
Literally, like, what am I going to do? I actually really wanted to open my own music venue and like maybe start like a music festival or do something with like,
oh, cool.
Like live music specifically, whether it's like touring or like concerts or whatever.
I've never heard anyone say that that's on their, like their list of dreams. I didn't know
that's what I wanted until I like kind of got into music school or whatever. But, I had ended up working this internship where I was, like the personal assistant for some guy that works for a company that like runs music festivals.
Okay. So cool.
So, which like opened up this whole other world to me as far as like, oh, this is like a career that people do, which like I had never really thought about that before.
Like reconfirming that like these like jobs that most people don't have actually exist.
Yes.
And it's not that hard to like get into it.
It's not, it doesn't have to be a pipe dream. Like if you want to do it, you can actually do it.
Yeah. There's a way in.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had kind of been focused on like, okay, I want to like have like an actual job for this company. This is like what I want to do. And then probably like a year and a half into me like interning for them and working like box office at shows and stuff. I was like, man, I love live music, but I feel like working in this industry would like, it would like make the experience of me going to concerts and festivals now, it would like make it lose its magic. So I was like, I don't know if I like want to do that anymore.
Like just like the behind the scenes experience, like
it kind of makes it like lose its magic. Yeah.
You think? Okay.
Which for me at least. Yeah. Like I still really like loved doing that for like the experiences that I had, but I just like didn't enjoy being at shows or concerts as much anymore. And that's like always been one of my like favorite things.
So it's like a value to you is like, I love that experience of, well, I definitely think there's a difference between like I talk about this a lot. I talk about the creator and the consumer. Like there's
very different perspectives in that
definitely.
area,
and you have to decide that like, do I love concerts because I love going to them? I love being the consumer of concerts, or do I love concerts in the music industry because I love creating that kind of thing for people?
Yeah.
You know, I think there's room there, like you said, there's like room that some people like that. There's room to do both maybe.
For sure.
But for you, it was like, you know what? A value for me is like being the consumer in this way.
Yeah. I like have always loved the experience of like being at a concert and having this like communal experience of like having these feelings and seeing this thing like all to like collective consciousness kind of thing and like a very small
I almost said it. Yep.
And so I like loved working for them for the first maybe like 9 months that I was working there, because I was like, wow, I get to like create this experience for other people.
Right. Yep.
Which was like awesome. And then I did it for a little longer and I was like, you know what? I might be a little jaded actually.
Did you go to a concert that you had like done?
Yeah. So
like that you weren't working at, like you like had done it and then you like went to be in the audience?
Yeah. So I ended up working for this company because I was, I had like put up a bunch of flyers for this festival that they were putting on one summer for like free tickets. So I like ended up at the festival or whatever. And like, that's kind of how I met the guy that I ended up being the personal assistant for.
Cool.
And he was like, oh, like if this is, you know, you're like going to school for music, if this is like an industry that you want to work in, like I'm looking for a personal assistant, like would you be interested? So I was like,
wow,
yeah, fuck it, let's try it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I had gone to the festival as just like a consumer the year before. Okay. And then the following year I was like, oh, like this is still really special, but I preferred just experiencing this as opposed to like experiencing it and being part of making it.
That's really cool because I also think there's, I actually share a very similar experience with you on that. So I went to UVU for film school because I wanted to do film, and I thought that, you know, I was like, oh, my love for the visual arts will equate to being really good at film and like wanting to work in that industry and wanting to do it. And then I realized like now it has changed the way I look at movies. And it's not that I don't like movies as much anymore. It's not that whatever, but like now that I went to school for like, okay, so this shot is important and this is what we're going to do with the shot. It makes people feel this way. And we are engineering an experience for people, which is beautiful. And I loved that insight. And I learned so much about it. And I learned so much about like humanity and what we respond to and why movies are so important or anything like that. But then I realized like, oh shit.
But like the magic is kind of lost gone. In some ways.
Yeah. It lost its thing. And now I find myself watching movies with my boyfriend and I'm like, oh, see, they could have done that shot so much better. And I'm like, oh, you know what? They cut it here, but they should have just done like a full landscape, like 360 shot. And they could have done this and they could have done that. And then I find myself critiquing the art that I used to love and admire so much. Mm-hmm. And it changed for me. And now it's like, now I find myself in a completely different career path. It's along the same lines of it, but it's completely different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I feel similarly too with my career now doing tattoos. Like I'm still in a situation where I'm like creating an experience that's like meaningful for people.
Definitely.
Or like it can be, like it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes tattoos just aren't that deep and that's like great too.
Yeah. And that too.
But like I find a lot more fulfillment in like the experience that I'm creating as a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
As I find more fulfillment in doing that than I did with
totally. Sure. Well, because you found the place that you're like, okay, I can be a creator here and other people can be the consumer. And I'm so happy that they get to have that experience with me.
Yeah.
You know, well, now I work in podcasts, obviously, and this is what I do. But when it changed from like, okay, instead of doing film where I'm telling a story that way, I still want to tell a story. I still want to be like behind the camera in a way. Like I still want to create this experience for people. It then turned into podcast work where I'm like, okay, now I'm editing their videos and I'm editing their audio and I'm able to tell their story. And that's more fulfilling to me than it was like, okay, I'm going to like submit a film to Sundance and all these people are going to see it and I'm going to get so critiqued. It's not even going to be funny. You know, it's like I was able to find a place where I'm comfortable being the creator, but then I can still be the consumer in film and I can still be the consumer in music and still podcasts. I mean, I listen to so many podcasts and it's weird because I still am a little bit like, they probably could have done this or they probably could have done that. But it also becomes this like, I'm comfortable being in that space and it doesn't take away the experience anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like because do you still love getting tattooed?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're like, I know what you're thinking. Like, you're like, I know what the artist is thinking.
Yes, absolutely. But it's like still not on me and I just get to have this experience for like,
you can like relax and be like, now I'm the consumer and I'm so happy with that.
Yeah. And even like I'm definitely like more critical of like tattoos and definitely like more picky about who I'll get tattooed by than probably like the average person is.
Right. And I think that comes with
so
it.
Much.
Yeah.
But like even the critiques that I do have, it's also like, well, like I understand why you did this or like why this happened because I literally do what you do.
Yeah. So like, and it comes from like a loving place of like, we can like collaborate on this thing and we can help each other be creative to create something really beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
I was actually going to say something about that too. When you were talking about like storytelling with podcasting, it's probably a lot different to tell a story through like film where like maybe you are like, you're presenting the entire story. Whereas like with a podcast, like this is like a collaborative experience and like you don't necessarily know what story is going to be told until after you're done filming. I mean, you had no idea about any of the stuff I was going to say to you.
No, seriously. Well, and I loved it. Well, and you know what? And I think that's something that I've had to really like look at as a creator, like someone who also, let me just say this as a disclaimer, because I find myself saying this a lot in my recordings, that like everyone is a creator. Everyone
absolutely
is an artist. Everyone has that talent. Some people choose to work in the industry and some people don't.
Yes.
And if you want to, you should.
Yes.
Okay. just going to put that out there very beginning. But like, I always knew that I wanted to work in this industry. I always knew that that was like what I wanted to do. I didn't know what form it was going to be in. But now I feel like what's so cool about working in podcasts, or like just talking to you with this podcast, is like telling a story is humanity. Like we are all connected in that collective consciousness because of storytelling and because of art and because of creativity and because of collaboration through all of those things, you know? So it's like, yes, there is like a thing of like in podcasts where I'm like, okay, I need to tell a story. But at the same time, it's like letting the story form how it's supposed to form, and then just being like the second eye to be like, okay, I just want to make sure that this all checks out.
Yeah.
You know,
like
and
you have like some barriers for like maybe reeling things back in, but there's like for the most part, like whatever comes out.
Yeah. And I bet, I'm sure or I feel confident assuming that like with your tattoos, like you may do something and then be like, oh, you know what? It's forming into something different that's so much better than what I thought.
Absolutely.
And you are telling a story when you're tattooing people, right? Because I mean, yeah, some tattoos aren't that deep, but some people like me, you know, I got this tattoo for my brother. Like this was a story for me.
I mean, that's like a super meaningful tattoo. That's also like one of my favorite things about tattooing too, is just like, like a lot of times tattoos aren't that deep. Like most of my tattoos don't have any meaning at all. But like I think this is maybe an unpopular opinion for most tattoo artists. I think like once you've been tattooing for a couple of years, most tattoo artists are like, I don't really want to know the story behind your tattoo. Like I just want to like give you the art and like, but I mean, I'm also just like a really emotional person. So I'm like, I love hearing about like why people are getting like a specific tattoo, and like especially with like memorial tattoos. Like those are one of my favorite things to do, because I love like talking to people about the people that they love and like what's meaningful to them, and that just like feels really special and intimate to me. Yeah.
Would you say it's pretty gratifying to put like that they trust you with like their memorial?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Know?
That's like memorial tattoos and like first tattoos I feel like are like a really big like honor as a tattoo artist,
because it's like a milestone. It's a milestone. And
it's an experience that you're gonna remember forever. Do you have you ever felt like there's a lot of pressure? Oh yeah. I mean, I'm saying this as if it's like very casual. I also try not to think about it a lot of the time.
I just like bring up like new fear unlocked.
No, it's like definitely, if I think about it for too long, I'm like, wow, every single person I've tattooed is going to have that with them for literally every moment of the rest of their life.
I was going to say, I'm like, that's like a really scary thought.
I try not to think about it.
Okay.
It's like, it's really cool, and it really is like such an honor, but it obviously could be super overwhelming if you think about it for too long. And also a lot of times tattoos just aren't that deep.
100%. It's like, I feel like to work in the industry, like you definitely have to be like, you know what, it is what it is. Like you've accepted the risk, you've accepted the pressure.
Like we're both on the same page that like, you know, this is forever and this is your decision, and I'm going to do the best that I can for you. And it is what it is.
Do you have to sign a waiver? Why am I stupid?
You signed a waiver.
I signed a waiver. You signed a waiver that's like, this is on you forever, just so you know.
Like this is forever. And there's like a couple other little things on there as far as like, you know, health risks, allergies, like basic stuff. But essentially it's like, this is permanent.
This will be on you. But you know what? There's also something really beautiful about that, and something that I've always admired about tattoos in general is that like, obviously growing up, I was like, it's so bad to have something on you forever. You're destroying your body. You're like doing something terrible to your skin and whatever. And then I realized like, wait, it's actually like beautiful. It's like a beautiful tragedy in a way, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because it's like, you know, what, let me just relate it to this. This may not land, but I just want to try it. Like, what makes a movie beautiful when everyone dies at the end? because everyone dies at the end in a way. Everyone
dies at the end of everything. Not to be morbid, but
no, it is. But it's almost like
it's very real.
It's very real, and it's very unedited. It's like real life in a way. And so it's kind of like with a tattoo for me, I'm like, if this is something that's like meaningful to me, or even if it's not, it's beautiful and it's creative, and there was a collaboration involved. There was a soul to soul kind of thing of like creativity and art at its root and at its core comes from like soul expression. And so how beautiful is it that like I'll get to see this forever, this collaboration that happened through like a soul to soul thing.
Yeah.
You know, and like that may be a very deep way to look at it, but it's like
it is, but like I completely relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such like an honor to have somebody else like commit to having like my work on them forever.
I was going to say,
whether it's like, you know, a memorial tattoo or your first tattoo, or if it's just like, hey, I thought this fish looked really cool. Will you tattoo it on?
Literally the koi fish on my arm.
Yes. But even like tattoos that don't have like some deep meaning, like just the fact that you like it is meaningful enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the tattoo on my arm that I have right now is like, it's not meaningful really. I just was like, it's a cool quote.
I like that.
Throw it on. I don't know.
I like that. I like what it means.
I like that. Yeah. And there's something like that I think is really cool about having it forever. It's kind of like, this was a moment in time that this was cool to me. Not even that like it meant a lot or whatever. It's just like, this is another part of me. And if this is a part of me, it's on my body. And whether or not you may think of it as like a mistake down the line, it's like, no, it was a moment in time. And that is beautiful and it should be celebrated at all times.
Yes.
You know?
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know if this is necessarily like a common thing with people that have like quite a few tattoos. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you probably would relate to this, but like I view a lot of my tattoos as like, this is such a weird analogy. It might be cringy. It's almost like keeping a journal of like the things that I loved and was interested in, and like the things that I
at the time
just like appreciated at the time. Yeah. They're just like journal entries. Like, yeah, I got this like big tattoo on my thigh while I was like having this cool experience in Germany. And I got this other little tattoo on my leg because I was learning how to tattoo, and it looks really shitty because I did it myself when I had only been tattooing for a week.
And it's so cool. Like I think that we're coming to a point socially where tattoos are not looked at as like, they're not as much looked at as like this, like demonizing tattoos, if that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, for sure. I think Utah's maybe one of the only places, and maybe like the rural, like Midwest or something where like tattoos are demonized like at all. I feel like having tattoos is very normal now. Yeah,
definitely. And I think that's really cool to see. And it's a thing of perspective, right? To be like, I think it is beautiful. I mean, we've, again, like to go back to like the basis of the human experience is like, even, Polynesian cultures, they like put these very meaningful symbols on their body, and it's like this beautiful thing. And it's this like, it's like a symbol. And I think that, symbols are so important in our life. And if we can have a symbol that reminded us of something that we experienced, like that's so cool. Yeah. And why wouldn't we want to fill our bodies with that kind of thing? Like it's amazing. And like, we have the technology to do it in like a painful-ish way, but like, it's not that big of a deal, you know? I just think it's really cool.
Yeah.
So awesome. Can you remember a time in your life when you first felt really creative? Like really like, oh, I got something that like not a lot of people have.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I don't know if I have like a specific moment where I was like, oh yeah, like I have the stuff, whatever that stuff is.
It's the sticky stuff. You got some sticky stuff.
I was actually thinking about this last night while I was like going through your notes, because I was like, I don't know if I really have like a moment like that, but I do agree with what you were saying earlier about like, everyone is creative, and like whether you choose to like cultivate that or not is like totally up to you. Yeah. Like I'm very much of the opinion that like everyone could be an artist if they wanted to. You just have to like learn the techniques and like
definitely
allow yourself to like use your imagination.
Right. Like find your medium.
Yeah, for sure. So like, I don't know that I have a specific moment where I was like, oh yeah, I'm a creative person. But like, I definitely had people in my life, like since I was like a kid, that were like, wow, you're so creative. So I feel like I kind of like absorbed that as part of like my identity and just like, have hung on to it. And, cause I think creativity is like, it's almost very like childlike in a way. Like you have to like allow yourself to use your imagination and like explore things.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
That's one of my very like firm beliefs about creativity is that you have to go back to like your childlike self. You have to go back to like coloring books, and you have to go back to like what it feels like to have it. It's like almost like it's like creative ignorance in a way where you're like where you're like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to fit any standard. It doesn't have to be approved or disapproved by anyone. It's just purely what you feel like in the moment. You know?
Yeah. And I think like you kind of just have to allow yourself room to explore that and like allow yourself to be imperfect.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is, I don't know, maybe that's creativity. I don't know, just like giving yourself the room to like explore your own ideas and stuff. Yeah. Like I don't, I have like a lot of imposter syndrome actually, which is wild, right?
And I was like, have you seen her Instagram?
I've been told that I'm a creative person, but like, I don't ever have moments where I'm like, wow, that idea is like so out of the box and new and no one's ever thought of that before. I'm so creative. Like, I feel like every idea that I have, it just like makes sense to me. So it's, they're just like innately my thoughts. Of course they make sense to me and they don't seem with you. Like, so of course they don't seem like super creative, but like, they're just like my ideas. And I think kind of coming to the conclusion that like, oh yeah, like my thoughts and my opinions and my perspective is like valuable and creative just for like what it is as like my authentic thoughts. Yeah. I feel like embracing that has kind of made me feel like more creative, I guess.
That's so cool. If you could have just summed up the whole point of like the podcast, that would probably be it. Like, well, I mean, it's like, I love how you said that. I think it's like about entering like this world of like play. Like as a kid, when you would like be like, hey, you guys want to play or whatever, like you'd like go to the next door neighbors and you'd be like, hey, let's go ride bikes or whatever. And it's like, you're coming up with these like imaginative scenarios in your head about like what's going on in your world of play. Like what's the story? Who are the characters? Like my bike was named, aquamarine, like, cause it was like a blue, it was like a blue bike. And I was like, this bike, and we pretended that our bikes were horses. And I was like, well, mine's blue, so it's aquamarine.
That's cute.
You know, and it was like every day we'd go ride horses when really they were bikes, but like we made it real in our head because we were telling a story. And I didn't care that no one else thought my bike was a horse, but I cared that it was a horse. I was like, no, this is not a horse.
Like obviously, you know, your bike isn't a horse, but like, it's your idea and you gave that idea space to breathe. And that's what happened.
Exactly. Without caring about what anyone said. It's like that world of play where like, but then I think as we grow up and we mature, we start becoming hyper aware of everyone's thoughts and what everyone's thinking of you and why. Obviously, a bike couldn't be a horse. Obviously, it's just not. And so, you know, and I think that also happens because I always took art classes growing up. Like I always was like doing drawing and stuff like that. And my art, like literally to this day, I don't draw because I feel like I killed the creative like nerve ending in that medium because I was so worried for so long how my art was going to be portrayed and what people thought of it. And, oh, it's not perfect. And this line's crooked and it doesn't make sense. So why is it valuable?
I relate to that so much, actually. I remember, this is so funny. I haven't thought about this in years. I remember one night probably when I was like, I don't know, maybe like 13 or 14. I like grew up drawing and painting and stuff. And I remember like, I had a box that like, either I kept or my parents kept or something of like a bunch of my old like drawings and paintings and stuff. And like, I remember going through them one night when I was like in my early teens, and I was like, I suck at art. Everything is terrible, and I'm giving up on it. And I like threw a bunch of them away, and I was like, I'm never doing this again because like I'm not good at it. And then like I spent most of my like high school years like playing sports and like doing music stuff, and then didn't really come back to art until I was like 19, 20 maybe, and it's
picking up the colored pencil again.
No, like literally, I think I was like decorating my college apartment, and I was like, I really want a big painting, but I can't pay several $100s for a big painting, so I'm just gonna paint it myself and see what happens. So literally, I painted like a couple big like watercolor paintings, and like they were fine. They're not great.
You're like whatever.
Fine. I still have them.
Yeah.
And then I had like a recycled canvas from like, I bought some shitty painting from,
we've all been there.
Not even a painting, like a screen printed canvas or whatever
from
like DI for like $5, and
love it.
And ended up like painting over it because I hated the painting that was on it. And that painting I ended up like selling recently, actually.
Really?
Which is, like,
oh yeah, because
like crazy full circle moments. I like painted this thing for my apartment, and then got my tattoo apprenticeship probably like a year after that.
Wow.
And I had on my bucket list like for years that I like really wanted to sell a painting. So I had hung on to that big painting that I had done on like the recycled canvas, and I had like cleaned it up a little bit, and it hung in every apartment I lived in for like 4 years probably.
Yes.
And then like a year ago, I finally was like, okay, I'm like ready to get rid of this.
Yeah.
And I had actually had it in my tattoo studio for a while too. So
really?
I just like posted it on Instagram, and I was like, hey, like I'm selling this if anyone's interested in it, just like make me an offer.
Wow.
And I sold it, and that was the first painting that I ever sold.
Oh my, well, congratulations. Thanks. That's amazing. Like, what are the odds too that you're like that you put that out in the universe, that you were like, I want to sell a painting one day.
Literally put it in the universe like maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah. But then for some reason it happened, and you're able to like look back and be like, that was like weird.
I definitely didn't paint that with the intention of it being anywhere other than my own apartment when I was like 20. It was a very cool, like full circle moment.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so amazing. You're so good at this. She's never podcasted before, and I'm literally blown away right now. Okay. Have you ever had any pivoting moments in your industry?
Ooh,
where you had to go. Ooh.
Yep. Yeah, I've had a handful. So the very first, well, I've only ever worked at 2 tattoo shops. So I worked at the studio that you saw me in, and then I worked at the shop that I apprenticed at.
Okay. This is all Salt Lake, right?
So the shop I apprenticed at is actually in Utah County.
Oh, there you go.
I won't say what it is.
Don't say the name.
For the other,
tell me after though.
Other things, the other things I'm about to share, just in case.
Okay.
But the very first shop I worked at, so I mentioned that I did piercings for like the first year that I was there. So actually during that part of my career, I had a lot of moments where I was like, this is maybe not a great shop to be working at.
Like, this is, I'm worried.
Okay. There were just like a handful of things that as I like learned more about the industry, I was like, oh, this shop is doing a lot of like really unethical things actually. And like I learned so much working there, and I'm like really glad that I did. But like a lot of what I learned working there was like things that I don't want to do, which are very valuable. I think we all need that. I was
gonna say the amount of projects I've done that were solely for the purpose of I will never, ever do that again.
Yeah. There were just like a handful of things that I was like, oh, I feel like this is very unethical, and it's like unfair to like the artists that work here, and it's unfair to like the clients that come in, and those were like really important experiences for me to have, just to learn how to like run my own business, because now I'm like self-employed, so I don't work for anyone. But
so awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
I love it. It's great.
The best.
But yeah, there were a handful of moments where I was working for that first tattoo shop where I was like, oh, I don't like the way that like clients are treated here, and that's like kind of why I have a large emphasis on like the experience of being tattooed now, actually. And not that like anyone that worked at that shop was just like a shitty person or anything.
Yeah.
But like,
just a different way of doing it.
Just like a very different vibe. Like I really don't like treating my clients as if they're just like just like cows. Like,
or just like another body to come in and get money from.
Yeah. Like you're a human being and like you are literally going to have this forever and you're going to remember this experience so much more than I am.
Right.
So yeah, I think a lot of the experiences I had just working at like a walk-in shop and with like some tattoo artists that maybe take their job a little bit more casually, which is like not a bad thing. Just kind of like taught me a lot about how I would like to treat other people. Yeah.
Just like how you want to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I've talked about this on other podcasts as well, but kind of like the idea of like when you are working in the creative industry, not only do you have to be vulnerable in a way to make your paycheck, you also like have to balance this thing between like, I'm doing this because I love it, but I also have to make money. Yeah. And sometimes it's really hard to blend those two things together. Like sometimes you are way more into it for money. You're like, oh, I just got to do this because I need to make money. And then other times you're given a project that you're like, oh, I'm like really excited about this. Yeah. And like, I'd probably do this for free, to be honest, you know, like, which obviously if you're an entrepreneur in any way, like, cause you are an entrepreneur, you've done this, you're doing this for yourself. You're paving ways for yourself and your future. And it's like, I've struggled with this, like, capitalism, creativity, like what's more important, you know?
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
You get projects that you do because it's like good money and you will do them well, but it's not necessarily something that you are like super excited about.
Yeah. Like you may not have your heart into it, but you're just kind of like, okay, if I get a paycheck from this, then that's what matters. Mm-hmm. And well, I mean, I guess like, have you ever like experienced that in your industry, like where you're like,
for sure,
where you're like, I don't care,
for sure,
I don't care, I just need the money.
My whole like first year of tattooing, I mostly just did like whatever people would bring me, as long as I felt like it was like within my skill range.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely have done plenty of tattoos and I'm like, I don't love that, I wouldn't get that tattoo, but like I'm still gonna like do the best job I can for you, and like like I have to do this to make money.
Yeah, you're like, I gotta pay rent, so yeah.
But also the shop that I was working at while I was apprenticing, like because they were a walk-in shop, like we had like specific hours that we were supposed to be there. So like if I wasn't tattooing somebody, I like had to take whatever was coming through the door.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So that situation is like a little bit different too, because I'm not like whatever I take home is dependent on like the tattoos I do that day, but also like I wasn't really in a position to be able to like turn people away if I like didn't want to do it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just the growth stages of like being able to become your own boss. You got to do some really,
it's just like early
random things,
early cretivity careers, just like in general. But like, I feel really lucky that I'm at a point now where like I can have most of my projects be things that I'm like, oh, I'm like really excited about this, and I'll do a good job, and I'll make money from it,
and I'll create an experience,
and I'll probably end up tattooing someone that's like really cool.
Yeah.
And like I still do tattoos that I'm not necessarily like super passionate about, but I'm like, this is like an easy thing for me to do that will pay me well, and I can do a good job at it.
Right.
Yeah. But I never do tattoos anymore.
Well, like, and like feel like fulfilled about it, and be like, oh yeah, this is like a really fulfilling thing that I'm excited to go and do this for people.
Yes. Yeah. The other, so like, I obviously really love like just like drawing and like art behind like creating the tattoo, obviously. Yeah. That's like a large part of it, other than just like the application of tattooing.
Right. Well, I bought an iPad actually.
This one.
I'm like pointing. I bought an iPad because you drew my fish on your iPad, and I was like, that's why you got stop. I need that. I don't draw anything on it. Really,
iPad's a game changer. It totally Procreate's awesome. Has saved my life so many times.
Love Procreate.
So obviously like the art behind the tattoos is like a huge part of it. And I really enjoy like the creative process of that. But, I also really like just doing like simple, like lettering tattoos and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Like they're not like, I don't have to be particularly creative. Like,
you're just gotta trace
here's a list
it.
of fonts, pick one.
Love it. But what do you say? Like, would you say that that's also like really fun too? Like being like, it's just simple and it's cute.
It's
and
simple.
It's
easy for me. It's like low stress. And like, I enjoy doing it because I literally just have to like print it off and put it on you. And we like chat while I tattoo you. And it's like
so fun.
Not a big deal at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I still do stuff like that. I wouldn't say I'm like passionate about doing lettering tattoos, but like I enjoy doing them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. If you could talk to, this is a bigger one. If you could talk to your past self, what advice would you give young Audrey?
Ooh, just keep going. It's literally the only advice I have. Just keep going. Yeah. I think at some point in my life, when I was kind of shifting between like doing music stuff to doing tattoos, I was kind of having like an identity crisis, had a lot of like, grief happen in my personal life around that time too. So I was just in like a really vulnerable position.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And got my first tattoo and was like, maybe I could do tattoos. And I was like, fuck it. Let's just ask the shop if they need an apprentice or if they would be willing to take an apprentice. Right. And if they say yes, I'll do it and probably drop out of college. And if they say no, like whatever, they say no. So they said yes. And I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. Let's see what happens.
It's so crazy. It's like sometimes like that, just putting yourself in a place for a yes is all it takes really, is like putting yourself in the opportunity and being open for whatever the universe is going to give you at that point to be like, this is an interest I have to open the door, and then who knows, someone may let me in. Yeah. You never know.
This kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier too, like before we started recording, just like everything works out. And I feel like for me, it's been really important to just like have, not like no expectations, but just be like really open-minded to like whatever working out might be.
Definitely.
Like I'm pretty like detached from the outcome of most things.
Love that.
Which is so great for my mental health. But just like being open to like whatever happens and like everything will work out.
No, 100%. Well, because I think anytime most people walk into a situation where they feel like little scared, little vulnerable, there's some fear there, like what you have to do is just to be like, you know what? Like nothing's permanent. Yeah. Nothing's permanent.
Literally nothing's permanent.
I can pivot. Nothing's permanant. LOL. We're literally talking a tattoo.
You literally can get them removed though, but like
nothing's permanent besides this. That's so funny.
Dude, that's actually, that's like, not nothing is permanent, but like everything is temporary has been like a thought that has gotten me through like every situation I've been in for the last maybe like 10 years or so. Just that like everything is temporary. Like your situation now is temporary. The things you're feeling are temporary. Like whether it's good or it's bad, everything is temporary. Yeah.
And like also like what a good opportunity to just let things pass and like observe them, like observing your feelings, observing how you grow as an artist, how you change as an artist, like how your life changes if you move, you know, like if you all this stuff. Well, and so Audrey told me that she might be moving to Germany.
Might be moving
to do tattoos in Germany. Can you tell them the story about that?
Yeah. So I won't tell it in as much detail as I told you earlier, but I went on this like solo backpacking trip this past spring. So spontaneously, like last year on my birthday, I just was like, I really want to go to Europe, and I've been wanting to do this like big solo trip by myself for a long time. I'm just gonna say fuck it, book a one-way flight and I'll figure it out. And I literally booked a flight that was non-refundable so that I like couldn't talk myself out of it.
I love that so much.
And like I love traveling, but like traveling solo is like its own thing. And I had done like some solo road trips and stuff, but nothing like that this big before. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I know that I can do this. Yeah. I'm probably going to shit my pants about it.
Right. I'm going to try talking myself out of it at least 12 times on the way there. Yeah. 12 times on the flight.
And literally, I don't think it hit me that I was like, oh, I'm like literally alone in a different continent.
Yeah.
And I can do whatever I want
Right.
until like a day after I got there. So like I first got there and I was like, wow, this is awesome. Love this.
Yeah.
And then like a day later, I was like, I'm very alone right now.
I could not be more alone.
I could not be, more stranded right now.
Yeah.
But also like, I was in Europe. It's fine. Yeah.
It's romantic. I was telling her, I was like, there's something so romantic about Europe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like there's a way to main character the shit out of that experience.
Yeah. Definitely like had a main character moment for that entire trip.
Love that. Yes.
So anyway, yeah, ended up in Europe for like 2.5 months. And I spent a little bit of time in Germany while I was there.
Yeah.
And just like happened to meet some other people that tattoo and like some other people that are just kind of into the same like subcultures that I am while I was there.
Yeah.
So I met somebody that tattoos in Germany and got offered a guest spot there. So I'm probably gonna go guest spot for maybe like a month and just kind of like
just feel it out.
Cosplay living in Germany.
She's like cosplay living in Germany. That's gonna be your episode title. That's so funny.
And just kind of see how it goes. And assuming it goes well, hopefully move out in like a year or so.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I'm really excited about it. Also really nervous about it.
Well, I mean, just like speaking of like just doing things without the fear of like anything, just like, who knows? It doesn't really matter like what the outcome is. Like everything will work itself out. It's never going to work itself out in the way we think. You have to go into everything like that as like, it's probably going to be a completely different experience than what you are thinking in your head, Absolutely. But it's going to be so amazing. It's so beneficial in whatever way it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have to keep telling myself too that like, even if things like go terribly wrong after I move out there, like I can always come back. Yeah. I can always go somewhere else. And like, I have a great support system like here and like with my family, like out of state too, where like, I'm not going to be like SOL if things don't work out there. You know? Like,
when I think there's something very, I don't know. I see it in a lot of people that I know, a lot of people who are like similar to me in ways where it's just kind of like, when you have this mindset of you're not too connected to anything, your identity isn't in where you live. It's not in the sports team you like. It's not in your religion, maybe, I think that if you can break free of that, like the chains that bind us down to certain things like that, then you realize that we're a lot more free than we think we are, Yes. And yes, you may disappoint some people. You may do something that everyone else says is crazy, but at the end of the day, like the world, you'd said this earlier, the world is literally your oyster. And I love that because it's true. Like when you go into a situation that you don't know, it's like, that's what I think life is about. It's about experience. It's about observing. It's about just taking in as much knowledge and experience and wisdom as you possibly can. Yeah. And you only live once, pretty much. Like that, like if you also believe in that 2013 like YOLO vibe, like, I think it's true. There's nothing more true than that of like, just do it. Why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, for sure. And like, we kind of talked about this earlier too, like before we were recording as well. Like,
we had this whole conversation.
About, like, growing up Mormon or whatever.
Yeah.
At this point in my life, I feel like my like purpose or whatever is just to like experience things. And like, I'm never going to be able to experience everything, but I can experience more if I open myself up to new opportunities. And like, definitely getting out of Utah would open me up to so many more experiences.
Yeah.
I was also going to say something too about did you say something about the chains that bind us?
Yes. Did you use that phrase? Yes, okay. Girl.
So I had this moment, shortly before I spontaneously booked my flight to Europe.
Oh, good.
To where like, so I was married very briefly, for like a year.
Yep.
And, there's like a lot of context as far as like growing up Mormon and stuff that like, led me to get married very young to somebody that I maybe wasn't like super compatible with.
Yeah.
And like shortly before I ended that, I kind of had this realization that was like, I don't have to do this. And like, I have autonomy over my own life. So if I don't want to do this, I don't have to.
Yep.
And that has kind of snowballed into me being like, oh, I can literally do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to be in a marriage that I'm unhappy in. I don't have to stay in Utah. I don't have to like dress the way that other people expect me to dress. Like, I can get whatever tattoos I want. I can get a mullet if I want to.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I can just, you can literally do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want. And it's just kind of this, like I think everyone is, I say this all the time, like, you are so much more capable of doing what you want than you think you are.
Absolutely.
And I was talking to one of my really good friends last night, and she was asking me like, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like, I literally have, I don't know, I want to buy a car. I might want to live in France. Like, I don't know. or in Europe in general, I really do want to go to Europe and
come visit me in Germany.
I know, like, I'm like, this is a call, but, and she was like, well, like she used the word qualifiers. Sorry. The word qualifiers. Yeah. Okay. She's like, if you have like a dream or you have something you want to do or like something that scares you that it's always been on your bucket list, like, don't confuse like a qualifier as like the reason why you actually can't do it.
Yeah.
Cause like there's all these qualifiers are the things that like, cause I said, I may want to move to Europe, but like, I don't speak French. I don't speak Italian. I don't speak whatever. And she's like, well, that's like, why are you using that as like an excuse? Because it's like a qualifier that you need to do to like get to that point. Or like someone may say, well, I want to become a tattoo artist, but I don't have a tattoo gun. Okay. Well, that's still like a qualifier in a way that you're putting in your mind is like this is why I can't do it.
Yeah. Okay.
You can buy a tattoo gun on Amazon for like $60.
Okay, wait, pause. If anyone actually wants to learn how to tattoo, do not buy a tattoo machine before you get an apprenticeship. Okay. It's actually better if you don't have one before you get an apprenticeship. See, so a great point about not listening to your qualifiers.
Don't do that. But you can draw. You know what?
Absolutely.
Buy yourself a pack of Sharpies. And draw on a piece of paper and pretend it's someone's arm. Or draw on your friends. It's like there's no reason why you should be like holding yourself back from like this certain thing. It, like all these excuses are not a factor.
Yes.
Okay.
The like Sharpies and like drawing on your friends thing reminded me of a great story that I hadn't thought about like in years until really recently. Uh-huh. So one of my really good friends from college died recently, and
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Like things happen,
right?
We hadn't talked in a couple of years, so I hadn't really thought about this story. And it's like weird when people that die, and then like you realize how big of an impact they had on your life, even if they weren't like in your life for very long.
100%.
So this friend of mine came to my house one night, and I had been living in that apartment that I'd like painted all those things for.
Oh yeah.
And one of the like the watercolor paintings that I don't like was hanging in my living room, and he was like, hey, I really like that. Will you draw that on me? And so we're like drunk, and I'm like, yeah, sure, fine, a Sharpie. So I literally like drew this on him on his arm in Sharpie. And like I feel like that combined with like the experience that I had of like getting my first tattoo actually kind of like snowballed into me being a tattoo artist, which is like a really cool memory to have.
Yeah.
Of just like this person that was really influential on my life for like a brief period of time. And I just like really appreciated that about him.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's so cool. I think that there's many times in our life where we realize like, you know what, if it wouldn't have been for this thing, like I may not have been in this headspace.
Yeah. I may not have ever considered that like, oh, like I could maybe do tattoos.
I could probably try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Really, really cool moments. So anyway, buy Sharpies, draw on your friends.
Wow. Yeah. Don't buy the tattoo gun. You know what's so funny though about that? A couple months ago, my boyfriend and I were like, we should just buy a tattoo gun. on Amazon. I'm
not
so
gonna
glad.
tell you what to do.
Don't do it. Oh,
Be safe.
I'm such a DIY girl. I'm like,
Don't give each other
you can DIY
don't
anything.
give each other any bloodborne pathogens.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, this has been so good.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I really hope that whoever's out there listening learns a lot from this and like can really feel like some inspiration from you, because you're so like, I don't know, like when I first met you, when I first met you, I was in this process of actually like figuring out what I wanted to do. And I remember asking you when I was getting my tattoo, I was like, how'd you get into this? And you were like, oh, well, I just got an apprenticeship. And because you did tell me like a little bit of like, I don't know, I just kind of wanted to do it. And here I am. And through a lot of connections and through what, like just doing it, I made it here to where I'm happy. And like, I think that alone, if I could remember anything from that experience, it was like, okay, you can really do what you want.
You can do whatever you want. And that's really cool.
Yeah. And also like putting your pride aside and like humbling yourself and being like, okay, you know what? It just doesn't matter. Like the ego, who cares? Like if you can separate what it means to be like a creator and then also like what you look like as a creator, you know, like life can really change for you. To be like, it's not, I'm doing this because I really truly love it and it's just what I want to do, versus I'm doing this because like I can make money, people think I'm cool, like whatever, you know, it's different when you're actually doing something that is authentically speaking to your soul and you're in alignment with it, you know.
For sure.
So
I think just like being open to the possibilities and just like allowing yourself to try shit is like really important.
Yeah, I love that. It's great. Okay, well, I've got some little questions for you at the very end. A lot of podcasts do rapid fire questions. I don't want to call them rapid fire questions because everyone calls them that. So I don't know, just some
cookies, whatever.
Some quickies.
Sure,
I got a quickie.
Sure.
You like quickies? Let's go with one.
Sure.
All right, if you had to pick a color to wear the rest of your life, what would it be?
Guess. It would be black.
Yes. Yep. 100%. Me too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm fine with that being my personality too.
Yeah. I'm a goth girly at heart. It just is what it is. I would wear black every day.
Yes. Absolutely.
I wear color every once in a while, but like, yeah, if I had to pick one, black.
Do you have like a color that if you are going to wear color, this is what you wear?
It's
like the obvious favorite color.
It's like a dark, like mossy green.
Oh yes. A girl after my own heart. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Love it. Okay. Dogs or cats?
Cats.
Really?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm way more of a cat person. They're just like way more chill.
I've come around to cats. I grew up with dogs, so I didn't ever have like a cat growing up. And now I am really leaning into liking cats. I
didn't grow up with pets like at all. So I really didn't have any experience with animals until I was like, I think I'm going to get a cat. That'd be cool.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I do really I love dogs too. I just like appreciate how chill cats are. I don't know.
So low maintenance.
Yeah. And like, I feel like, cats have like a lot more personality than people give them credit for too.
I know. I found myself watching, like cat videos on TikTok for no reason. Like I will stay up all night watching cat videos.
They're very entertaining.
They're really good. I may have to get a cat. Maybe
you and your boyfriend can adopt one together.
Yeah. Do you have a cat?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, we could have a cat play date. Do they do that? Do cats do that?
Sometimes. I mean, my cat really likes other cats. We could do that.
Okay, great. Okay, perfect. I'll text you when we get one.
Yeah, let me know.
All right, fall or spring?
Spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear something really sweet that my boyfriend said the other day?
Absolutely.
About spring?
Yeah.
He was like, I was telling him, I was like, oh, like my period sucks right now. I was like, women are only happy like 1 week of the month because we're either preparing to bleed, we're ovulating, or we're bleeding. So technically out of the 4 weeks, we get like 1 week that we're actually not doing any of those things.
Like, that's like spring.
And he goes, he's like, yeah, it's like, he goes, yeah, well, females are God. You know, like women are God. And so like the cycle that women go through every month is like the same cycle of the seasons. And I was like, wow. And he's like, yeah, so spring, you know, it's like spring and like summer is like your happy week. And I was like,
that makes a lot of sense,
great.
Honestly. No, I like totally feel that way too. I feel like I'm always the happiest in the spring. Like I'm like every spring I'm like, wow, my life is so good. And then like usually towards the end of winter, I'm like, I can't wait for spring.
Oh no, spring is, definitely. I like fall because I think fall is really cool because it's kind of like celebrating like death, like in a way, and like being like death is always for new birth, and like there's something beautiful about death and like that ending of something. You know, me in the Shakespearean romantic tragedy.
Dude, I completely relate.
Yeah. But then spring, totally. It's like that. It's the new birth. It's like the being able to like, I don't know, restart or
I feel like it's
clean
just
slate.
Like, it's like appreciating what you get like after fall and winter.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're like, I worked so hard to get through winter.
Literally worked so hard to get through these couple months.
So hard. Yeah.
and now I get to enjoy it.
Yes. Okay, now this question's funny. Travel or stay home?
Travel.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
I definitely like, I think as I've gotten older, I've appreciated a lot more of like, I've just become a lot more appreciative of having my own space and being like comfortable, just like staying home and like taking care of myself and enjoying like more of like a slow life as opposed to like, I mean, I still really like doing a lot of things.
Yeah, like of course, like going out.
I really appreciate both, but I think if I was going to have like a week off, I would rather go somewhere and like experience something new as opposed to just like relax at home. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely feel that too. Like, I think I used to just love going out and like I had like the most social life ever. I'd be like every night I'm hanging out with someone else or like every night I've got a plan. But now I'm like just slowing it down. Like I'm in bed at probably 9 every night. And I'm like,
I'm not quite there yet, but that's probably really good for you.
Yeah. But I'm like, my like 19-year-old self would never believe, like my 19-year-old self was out till 2 no matter what. But then I think there's also like, I don't know. It's cool to like find comfort in your own space, and it's cool to like find comfort like with yourself. To be like, I'm hanging out with myself, and I'm so entertained.
The older I've gotten, the more I've just like really come to appreciate my alone time.
Yeah,
I love spending time with myself. I love taking care of myself. I love just being alone and doing whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, it's just like that relaxing, like that self-love moment where it's like, this is about me. This is all about me.
All about me, all for me.
Because if you don't, who will? You know? That's what I always say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
100%. Well, Audrey, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
We got to hang out or something.
Before I go to Germany.
I know. And then I'm going to come visit you in Germany.
I mean, Salt Lake isn't that far. You can come visit me in
I know.
Salt Lake.
And I want to come see this wicked apartment you've been talking about.
It's literally so cute. Yeah. I am not sure if I'm moving out soonish or not, but I'm probably going to have some people over sometime in the next couple of weeks. So
okay, bet.
I'll invite you over.
Shoot me a text the one day a week that I go out.
Okay, I will.
We'll see if if it lines up. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.